Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Happy Sunday to everybody. We got through April Fool's Day without getting fooled too bad, I think. Before I get started here, I'd like to say that a friend of mine that also does a kind of a news show puts out a lot of good information on his channel. And he took a little sabbatical, but he's back now. And so I'll give him a little plug here to try to keep him going, get his channel back up and running real good. If you haven't subscribed to him, you might want to look him up. It's called Revolution News and Information, and his name's Toasted. So you might want to check him out, and that way you'll get even more information than what I'm giving you. But it's Revolution News and Information. In this episode, I have 18 articles for you, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. First one here's off of Liberty Headlines. It says, NBC confirms Obama administration officials. That stuff jumping on my screen here. Get that off. NBC confirms Obama administration officials had Trump campaign under surveillance. Seemingly confirming the incriminating remarks from former Obama Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Evelyn Farkas on the mad scramble by the Obama administration to collect and preserve intelligence and election hacking before Obama left office. Reports that a former Obama official admits they made a list of Russia probe documents to keep them safe. While most of the mainstream media has conveniently dismissed the remarks from Evelyn Farkas that accidentally implicated Obama's White House in the surveillance of Trump's campaign staff, the Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods, meaning we would not longer have access to that intelligence. Former Obama DOD Deputy Evelyn Farkas reveals White House gathered intel on Trump campaign staff and then leaked it. Was a tweet put out by 0 Point Now. It says it seems news is confirming parts of her story. Obama administration officials were so concerned about what would happen to key classified documents related to Russia probe once President Trump took office that they created a list of document serial numbers to give to senior members of the Senate Intelligence Committee, a former Obama official told NBC News. After the list of documents related to the probe into Russian interference in the U.S. election was created in early January, he hand-carried it to the committee members. The numbers themselves were not classified, said the official. The purpose, said the official, was to make it harder to bury the information, to share it with those on the Hill who could lawfully see the documents, and to make sure it could reside in an intelligence committee safe, Langley CIA headquarters. The next article is off of Liberty Writers, and it says, Scandal Alert. Obama changed this one rule just to spy on Donald Trump. Well, now it's wanting to jump around on me, and we're not going to have that. We wait for the hamster. Gee whiz. What a way to spend your life, waiting on a hamster. Here it's coming up. Slow but sure. There we go. Donald Trump was 100% right. Barack Obama did make a massive rule change right before leaving office just to get away with spying on President Trump. There was a long-standing rule that forced intelligence agencies to censor the names of Americans intercepted during monitoring on foreign nationals before passing them on. According to the new report from circa.com, however, Obama made a last-minute switch-up that allowed him to target Trump and his new team. Let's see. It says alleged a key rule that allowed him to unmask and then share the names revealed with all of his top staff, including, but not limited to, Susan Rice, John Brennan, and Loretta Lynch. The report also alleges that some of the intercepted reports gathered between November and January concerned figures in Donald Trump's transition team who were communicating with foreign nationals. Luckily, however, the NSA is expected to hand over a full and detailed report to Congress soon, and what degree Obama abused this rule to spy on. One source said wholesale access to unmasked incidental NSA intercepts essentially created potential for spying on Americans overseas after the fact, which is exactly what our foreign intelligence arms are not supposed to be doing. This is a very serious accusation, if it is at all true, and it seems more than likely that it is. That means Obama violated the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution that protects Americans from unlawful and unreasonable search and seizures. You and I both know that the media will do their best to cover it up. The next one we have is off of BizPac Review. Bombshell report. Fox News says Congress knows ID of senior intel source unmasking U.S. citizens to embarrass Trump. A game of politics is being played by high-level intelligence sources out to embarrass Donald Trump and his administration, and congressional have the name of at least one of those sources. That's according to Fox News senior correspondent Adam Housley, who is reporting that the unmasking of private U.S. citizens began before Trump was GOP nominee and was done for political purposes that have nothing to do with national security. Our sources, this surveillance that led to the unmasking of private names of American citizens started before Trump was GOP nominee. The person who did the unmasking is very well known, very high up, very senior in the intelligence world, and is not in the FBI. The main issue in this case is not only the unmasking of these names of private citizens, but the spreading of these names for political purposes that have nothing to do with national security or an investigation into Russians' interference in the U.S. election, a congressional source close to the investigation told Fox News. Housley tweets, unmasking the names and then spreading the names was for political purposes that had nothing to do with national security. It had everything to do with hurting and embarrassing Trump and his team. Housley said his sources have grown frustrated with the politicalization of intelligence agencies, stressing that these individuals. Housley puts out another tweet, says, I will also note my sources are not Trump people. They're just frustrated with the politicization of our intelligence agencies. What's more, congressional investigators know the name of at least one person who was unmasking the names of private citizens, and this person is said to be very well known, very high up, very senior in the intelligence world, and is not in the FBI. Housley puts out some more tweets here. It says, congressional investigators know the name of at least one person who was unmasking names, and they know who to unmask. A name is rare, never for politics. There's some video in this if you'd like to pull it up and watch that. It says, show of just how political it has all become. Housley added context to the manufactured outrage coming from Democrats over House Intelligence Committee chairman going to the White House to view classified documents. Documents that led to the realization that members of the Trump transition team were caught up in surveillance under the Obama administration. Another tweet from Housley says, also, I'm told that House Senate Intelligence Chairmen have regularly gone to the White House offices to see raw intelligence in the past. Fox News also reported that Nunes was aware of the unmasking controversy in January, long before the Trump tweet in March that then President Barack Obama wiretapped Trump Tower during the 2016 election. The only safe place to see related documents without compromising the sources' identities was at the old executive office building on White House grounds. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer raised serious concerns about whether there was an organized and widespread effort by the Obama administration to use and leak highly sensitive intelligence information for political purposes. His remarks came Friday in response to former Obama administration official Evelyn Farkas suggesting on MSNBC that her colleagues at the time tried to gather material on Trump's team contacts with Russia. The link to the full report he did with Fox News reporter Malaya Zimmerman. And he puts that in a tweet, our full write-up on our breaking investigation into unmasking, and there's the link. The next article that I have is off of it's off of WSJ.com. Street Journal. It says, with Washington's blessing, telecom giants can mine your web history. That's what we need, is for them to be mining our web history. And let me blow this up a little bit bigger. They put it in this teeny tiny little type. So old women can't read it. This is, what if your telecom company tracked the websites you visit, the apps you use, the TV shows you watch, the stores you shop at, and the restaurants you eat at, and then sold that information to advertisers? In theory, it's possible, given the stance Washington is taking on this online privacy. Lawmakers on Tuesday voted to overturn privacy rules that required telecom companies to get customers' permission before sharing their web browsing and app usage history with third parties. The White House said Wednesday Donald Trump intends to sign the measure into law. Undoing the rules, which had been adopted last fall by the Federal Communications Commission but hadn't gone into effect, is a boon to Verizon Communications Incorporated, Comcast Corporation, and AT&T Incorporated, which are all in the process of building data-driven digital and businesses to complement the broadband, wireless, and TV services they offer. The telecom provider had argued the rules put them by a competitive disadvantage to online ad giants Google and Facebook, which generally aren't regulated by the FCC. Google and Facebook have built huge businesses powered by reams of data they collect about consumers' online actions, both on their own properties and across the web. That trove of information largely explains their dominance combined. They have roughly 47% share of the global digital ad market, according to eMarketer. But online advertisers executives say telecom providers potentially have access to more powerful data than two tech powerhouses. Their networks, both wired and wireless, could give them a window into nearly everything a user is doing on the web. ISPs like Verizon can now start building and selling profiles about consumers that include their friends, news articles they read, where they shop, where they bank, along with their physical location, said Jason Kent, Chief Executive of Digital Media, trade body Digital Content Next, and a vocal proponent of rules that Congress voted to repeal. Though the FCC rules never went into effect, the measures Congress has approved would give telecom companies far more comfort than they can construct details. That they can construct detailed profiles of their customers' behavior and tastes and share that information with marketers without being punished by regulators. For example, a wireless provider might track which websites and apps a consumer uses in addition to their location and use that information to help determine which products they're likely to purchase. If a consumer uses the same telecom provider for wireless, broadband, and TV service, the provider could, in theory, track the majority of that consumer's online behavior and media consumption. Now, just because telecom operators won't be shackled doesn't mean they'll gather and sell every bit of information they have access to. Consumers who already find targeted ads creepy, like the kind from retailers that follow you around after you visited their site, might not take kindly to their telecom company tracking their every move. They could conceivably sell to the highest bidder someone's browsing history, but it's not clear that would fly as a business model, said Kevin Wordbach, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School. In January, major ISPs agreed to abide by a set of voluntary privacy principles, which stated they will give broadband customers opt-in consent for the use and sharing of sensitive information as defined by the FTC. A clear, comprehensible, continuously available privacy notice that describes the customer's information we collect, how we will use that information, and when we will share that information with third parties. Jonathan Splatter, chief executive of U.S. Telecom, a trade body representing broadband service providers, said in a statement that Congress's action is another step to remove unnecessary rules and regulations that handicap economic growth and innovation and moves the country one step closer to ensuring that consumers' privacy information is protected uniformly across the entire internet ecosystem. Consumers who are unhappy with how broadband companies collect data have few options if they want to switch providers. Internet service providers are a distinctly severe threat to consumer privacy because we have little choice about whether to use them or not, said Peter Eckersley, chief computer scientist at privacy advocacy group Electronic Frontier Foundation. If you're in a small American town with only one ISP, you have literally no choice but to use it. Verizon acquired AOL for $4.4 billion in June of 2015, and AOL's chief executive has pitched marketers on the idea of using Verizon's data and AOL's technology to help show highly targeted ads to consumers. One idea, for example, is to use location data to test the effectiveness of ads, determining how many people who saw the ad for, say, a hotel subsequently went to that hotel. In an emailed statement, a Verizon spokesman said Verizon is fully committed to the privacy of its customers. Any elimination of the current FCC privacy rules will not change that commitment. AT&T has suggested its proposed $85.4 billion acquisition of Time Warner Incorporated could result in its data being used to help target TV advertising, offering competition to Google and Facebook as a result. AT&T's defunct Internet Preferences program collected web browsing data from some home broadband customers and charged subscribers who wished to opt out of collection an additional $29 a month. But the carrier said in September it was ending both the data gathering and the fee levied to avoid it. AT&T declined to comment. Next article is off of BizPack Review. It says, Uber lib George Takei gaslights himself on Twitter when he attempts amateur dig at Mike Pence. Oh, George, why must you insert yourself into everything? Liberals have tried and failed to make much ado about Mike Pence's personal relationship with his wife. In a Washington Post article circulating earlier this week, it was revealed that Pence does not dine alone in the company of other women without his wife. Ashley Parker tweeted, Mike Pence never dines alone with a woman, not his wife, nor does he attend events with alcohol without her by his side. And there's a picture of Karen Pence, and it says, Karen Pence is the vice president's prayer warrior, gut check. And then it trails off. It says, the second lady is one of the most important influences on one of Trump's most important allies. As well she should be. It says his deep commitment to monogamy and his marriage struck a not so nice chord with the sophisticated left, who had all kinds of problems with it, including comparing it to Sharia law. Needless to say, Pence's dedication and devotion to his wife was completely lost on those who chose to see only what they want to see, which brings us back to George Takei of Star Trek fame. Not to be outdone, Takei had his say on the Pence matter and got scorched for it. He put out a tweet that says, Pence won't have dinner alone with a woman who's not his wife. Literally, he won't, ever. No woman in her right mind would sit through that. Conservative author and Fox News contributor Dana Loesch was right there with the 1-2 punch, and she tweeted out, if you want Pence to stay out of your relationships, try staying out of his. Wow, what a concept. But Loesch wasn't the only one with some singers. Sean Davis tweeted out, George, perhaps you'd be happy if he had private one-on-ones with interns in the Oval Office like Slick Willie. Another one tweets out, George, that's why liberals won't understand it. To them, if you're not being vile, condescending, or downright immoral, you can't be trusted. Somebody else tweets, Hollywood telling people how to sustain relationships. What a joke. Another one says, what's scary is the hypocrisy of left-wingers offended by respect respect to the value of marriage and life, mind your own business. Another one says, absolute horse, you know what, tweet that you'd have no problem with if Pence was a dim and this involved his gay spouse. Respect goes both ways. Warp Zulu, engage. Another one says, you'll want us all to respect your life choices, but you don't respect his. Shame on you. Yeah, exactly. Another one says, yeah, I'm sure people are waiting in anticipation of George Takei to take on male and female relationships. Lowe's earned a lot of praise for her take, and at least one Twitter user absolutely nailed the left's unrelenting hypocrisy. That's when tweets back to Lowe's saying, the left is nuts. They didn't like POTUS due to his womanizing past, and now they mock the vice president for not having a womanizing past. Unbelievable. And that's what you call a bad Twitter move for George Takei. And the next one we have is off of BizPac Review, and it says, two journalists claiming to be on Obama's kill list sue Trump. Two journalists are suing the U.S. government, claiming that they are on a kill list targeted for drone strikes. Bilal Karim, a freelance journalist, and Ahmad Zaydan, former Islamabad bureau chief for Al Jazeera, said in a lawsuit that they were placed on the list by the Obama administration and kept on by the Trump administration, Politico reported. Zaydan said he is on the list because of his extensive reporting on al-Qaeda and his interview of Osama bin Laden, which caused the government to improperly name him as a member of the group and of the Muslim Brotherhood. Karim claimed that he was almost killed in 5 separate airstrikes, according to Politico. The lawsuit lists President Donald Trump, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, Defense Secretary James Mattis, and CIA Director Mike Pompeo, high-ranking officials, as defendants. The plaintiffs argued in the lawsuit that they were put on the kill list by flawed algorithms that use social media and travel to identify terrorists. Plaintiffs' inclusion on the kill list is the result of arbitrary and capricious agency action accomplished without due process and in violation of the United States Constitution and the U.S. international law, I read. The suit argues that people should be given means by which to fight their inclusion on the kill list. This is a very deliberate process that needs to give some access to people who deny they should be included, the plaintiff's attorney, Jeffrey Robinson, told Politico. The next article is off of ABC News, and it says, try this again, FBI re-releases 9/11 Pentagon photos. The FBI has re-released a batch of archival photos showing the devastation at the Pentagon following the 9/11 terror attacks. The FBI uploaded 27 photos to its website's FBI Records, the Vault section, showing the horrific aftermath at the facility located in Arlington County, Virginia. On September the 11th, 2001, Al-Qaeda terrorists crashed American Airlines Flight 77, which had departed Dulles International Airport for Los Angeles into the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m. 189 people died at the Pentagon, including 125 who worked at the building, which serves as the headquarters of the Department of Defense. In an area of the building that was under renovation and relatively empty, it's widely agreed that the death toll would have been significantly higher had the plane hit a different area of the building. Photos show fragments of the American Airlines craft, the gaping hole in the building left by the plane, as well as the Pentagon's scorched interior and exterior. Other photos show first responders battling the blaze and surveying the damage. Editor's note: after publication of this story, the FBI spokeswoman told the AP that the photos were first posted online in 2011 and re-released in recent days after they disappeared from the site. Article is off of Talking Points memo. It says MSNBC panel gets heated tell other people what racism is. And there is video on this if you care to watch it. An MSNBC panel devolved into a shouting match on Wednesday as commentators argued about whether the White House press secretary Sean Spicer's remarks scolding a black female reporter for shaking her head were racist and sexist. I think it was offensive. I think it was inappropriate. I think it was racist, and I think it was sexist. Political analysis Jason Johnson told MSNBC's Chris Jansing. American Urban Radio Network's reporter April Ryan asked Spicer during his daily briefing on Tuesday about how President Donald Trump's administration plans to try to revamp its image amid congressional investigations, rampant leaks, media reports, and self-inflicted wounds by the way of Trump's tweeting. In response, Spicer accused Ryan of having an agenda and told her to, at some point, report the facts. Every single person who has been briefed on this subject has come away with the same conclusion. Republican, Democrat, I'm so sorry that try this again. So I'm sorry that disgusts you. Wow, I didn't get that out. It says, you're shaking your head, Spicer said. At some point, April, you're going to have to take no for an answer with respect to whether or not there is collusion. The rhetoric and the behavior of this administration from the top to the bottom has demonstrated a lack of respect and a lack of consideration for people of color, Johnson said on Wednesday. I'm not surprised that, and this seems par for the course for how they've operated. I think it's sad. I think this is not going to help our country, American Conservative Union Chair Matt Schlapp said. He called Ryan a friend and said he has deep respect for her, but claimed that Spicer allowed her to ask multiple questions at every briefing. I think that was a moment where he pushed back and got feisty with the reporter he has very good rapport with on most days, Schlapp said. This is not racism. You don't get to tell other people what racism is, Johnson, who is black, interrupted. You don't either, Schlapp hit back. Yes, I do, Johnson said, because you don't experience it. You don't know what's in Sean's heart, Schlapp replied. Jansing tried to cut in. Okay, she said, let's bring it down a little bit. They did not, and you can watch the entire exchange in a video here in this URL if you would like to see them have their little male hissy fit. The next one we have Liberty headlines that says Hillary Clinton trashes men at the women's conference. Maybe the reason 59% of men didn't vote for Hillary Clinton was that they knew she really doesn't like them. Throughout Clinton's Tuesday speech to the Professional Business Women of California conference, the failed presidential candidate criticized the White House press secretary Sean Spicer, Fox News host Bill O'Reilly, though neither by name, her male colleagues at the Rose Law Firm, NASA, and even Harvard professor. Clinton, who largely took a negative posture during the speech, suggested when ideas from men and women are treated differently in staff meeting, women pool our respective reactions to zing men in response. Slow on the uptake, but good idea, she proposed, saying. She threw the former managing partner of her law firm under the bus when she recounted a story of being pregnant while working. I'd walk down the hall getting bigger and bigger. They'd turn their heads. They didn't want to talk about it, Clinton said. She claimed she kept raising the idea of what off do I get? And she was, of course, ignored by the pig men. Wow. She knows how to win friends and influence people, don't she? The next one's off a BizPac review. It says, Army Special Operator helped save 1,400 lives in Afghanistan. Formerly classified documents reveal. Special Operator helped dispel a complex Taliban attack on U.S. base in Afghanistan in 2013, saving more than 1,000 personnel, newly released documents obtained reveal. The formerly classified documents four-star award narratives of several U.S. Army special operators since 9/11. The U.S. Army refused to declassify awards at higher levels, telling USA Today secrecy was necessary to protect military plans, weapon systems, or operations. The 2013 attack citation details the story of a U.S. Army special operator identified as a medical sergeant who ran toward gunfire as Taliban insurgents blew a hole in the wall of a U.S. compound. After the blast, 10 Taliban terrorists ran forward armed with small guns and suicide vests. The compound was a base for provincial reconstruction teams set up by the U.S. to provide assistance to local Afghan authorities, and was also staffed by Polish workers. The medical sergeant, along with 2 other soldiers, immediately killed 3 terrorists before confronting another 6 in close combat. The sergeant was knocked to the ground by a bullet to the helmet, where he continued to engage the Taliban. After he was rushed to the hospital, he insisted on standing guard before reinforcements arrived. His efforts directly supported containing the enemy to the edge of the airfield and saved the lives of 1,400 personnel, the document states. Reports after the incident revealed the attack killed 7 Afghan personnel on the base. Next article is off BizPac Review. It says Hannity temporarily breaks ranks with Trump to offer sound advice. Trump? Really? Fox News host Sean Hannity, a huge supporter of President Donald Trump, strongly challenged the president's assessment that Freedom Caucus members were the reason the House failed to approve the American Health Care Act last week. Fox News host observed that President was ticking off completion of his campaign promises at the speed of Trump until last week, when approval of the AHCA's vote to repeal and replace Obamacare faltered. Earlier today, the president tweeted, "The Freedom Caucus will hurt the entire Republican agenda if they don't get on the team and fast. We must fight them and Dems in 2018, Hannity said. The president's clearly frustrated with the division in the Republican Party. On this show, we promise we're holding everyone in Washington accountable." Hannity noted that for 7 long years, the Republican Party had been chomping at the bit to take the House, the Senate, and finally the White House, so they could repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. They got that on November the 8th. They got their wish, he observed. Now, in my opinion, it's not the Freedom Caucus that's responsible for the GOP failure, in this case, to repeal and replace Obamacare. Now, this legislation was flawed from the beginning. It was created behind closed doors. Not one single member saw the bill until it was rolled out, and that made it a disaster. That someone was giving the president the false narrative that blame fell to the House Freedom Caucus before offering his counsel to bring everyone together in the spirit of compromise. Get them together with senators like Rand Paul, Mike Lee, Mitch McConnell, Secretary Price, Hannity suggested. Get all the factions, the moderates, the Tuesday group, the study group, the Freedom Caucus, get everybody in a room, lock the door. Order pizza, get beer, get ice cream. I don't care if you include coloring books. Get a consensus bill like you've been promising the country for 8 years, and get it done and get it on the president's desk, he advised. That is your mission. Follow your mission and your promise. It's not ideology. It's what's good for the American people and the promise you made to everybody. Amen to that. Next one we have is off BizPac Review. It says, Rising Dem announces his 2018 run against Cruz, but recent history signals it'll be a tough road. In a move reminiscent of the 2016 Florida challenge, a Texas Democrat announced his bid to contest Senator Ted Cruz when his seat comes up for re-election in 2018. U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke, a punk rocker turned politician, has represented his district that includes the border city of El Paso, the city he grew up in, since 2013. Unlike Cruz, O'Rourke claims that a fluid border between his hometown and Juarez, Mexico, has benefited both cities. It has been anticipated for some time now. O'Rourke, age 44, told Texas Tribune earlier this year that it's very likely that I will run for Senate in 2018. He said in an interview earlier this month that I'm very moved to do it, adding that he'd already reached the emotional decision to make a challenge. Last week, his campaign announced that on Friday, Beto O'Rourke has a big announcement to make. Friday is here, and in an email to his supporters with "Let's Go" as the subject, he wrote, "Today, in my hometown of El Paso, we made a big announcement. We're launching our campaign for Senate against Ted Cruz." His message expressed a desire to turn away from the policies of the Trump administration and the ideals of his rival. He wrote, "There's an opportunity to do better for Texas and better for this country, to move past the anxiety and fear, the walls and the refugee bans, and strongly and confidently work together on bringing this state and this country together on jobs, improving our immigration laws, and on ensuring that we have a senator working full-time for Texas." Now for the similarities to a 2016 Florida contest. In 2018, Cruz, who was a 2016 candidate for a Republican nomination for president, will be finishing his first term in the U.S. Senate. In 2016, Marco Rubio, who was a 2016 candidate for the Republican nomination for president, finished his first term in the U.S. Senate. Cruz will be challenged by O'Rourke, a Democratic congressman who has held his seat since 2013. Rubio was challenged by Representative Patrick Murphy, a Democratic congressman who had held his seat since 2013. Things didn't turn out so well for Murphy. He's only received 44.3% of the vote in a swing state against Rubio's 52%, and O'Rourke will challenge Cruz in the deep red state of Texas. It's been a few months since the Florida race, and today the name of Patrick Murphy is already being erased from Floridians' memories. Cruz isn't taking anything for granted and wasted no time rising to the challenge. Cruz put out a tweet that says a liberal Democrat is announcing a campaign today to try to turn Texas blue. Greg Abbott put out a tweet that says, "I'm making my own political announcement today." He's puts in a link about governor, and then Ted Cruz puts out a tweet that says, "It's the honor of a lifetime to fight for 27 million Texans each day in the Senate. Join the fight, keep Texas red." So we're already starting the election process for next year. My goodness. The next one here is off of Western Journalism. It says, "Shots fired. Police cruiser rammed during incident near the U.S. Capitol." Shots were fired Wednesday morning near the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. after a vehicle rammed into a police car. Suspect has been arrested following a foot chase. The incident took place at the intersection of Washington Avenue and Independence Avenue near the U.S. Botanic Garden and Rayburn House office building. District of Columbia police indicate that a driver tried to ram a Capitol Police cruiser about 9:30 a.m. when the first report was made of shots being fired. One report suggested that the incident began after the car was stopped at a checkpoint near Capitol Hill. Said that after Capitol Police cruiser was rammed, the suspect tried to run over several Capitol Police who were on foot. No police were reported injured in the attack. Doug Buchanan, D.C. Fire Department spokesman, said the ambulance sent to the scene were not needed to take anyone to the hospital. It was unclear if the suspect fired at police, but according to D.C. police, Capitol Police fired at the suspect. No one was shot. About 15 minutes after the incident began, the suspect was arrested following a foot chase with police. The FBI is assisting the investigation. As of mid-morning, there was no knowledge of the motive for the incident. During the attempted attack, the Rayburn House office building was placed on lockdown. Wednesday's incident comes in the wake of several occurrences in which intruders have sought to scale the White House fence. One such intruder successfully roamed the White House grounds for more than 15 minutes before being apprehended. Next article is off of BizPac Review. Says, extra spicy Friday presser stirs up liberal hornet's nest more than usual after he targeted Hillary. Poor Sean Spicer. My goodness gracious. I just want to give him a big hug. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer has a daily habit of triggering liberals on what is arguably the world's largest platform. Friday's hour-long press conference, however, seemed to send them screeching and howling level. Jamie O'Grady puts out a tweet that says that Spicer presser was insane. I mean, even more than usual. They particularly seemed incensed at Spicer's contention that the Hillary Clinton campaign had stronger connection to Russia than Trump's campaign did. When you compare the two sides of who is engaging with Russia, who's trying to strengthen Russia, it's night and day between our actions and her actions. Yet no one has questioned her, Spicer said, addressing a wide range of issues from Devin Nunes on the White House grounds to whether or not Michael Flynn should testify and ask for immunity. Spicer's freewheeling, seemingly impromptu answers gave libs an extra spectacular dose of reality. And since it's not the reality they want to hear, they naturally went apeshit. Somebody tweets out here, every Sean Spicer press conference feels like a science project presentation from an unprepared sixth grader. Another one says, will Trump hold press conference to discuss wiretap claims? Spicer would say, I'll convey your request, meaning that's a no. Bill Kristol puts out a tweet that says, I've avoided watching Sean Spicer's briefings, but am at the MSNBC watching this one. The nonstop dishonesty and irresponsibility is amazing. And the article says, that's right, I included Bill Kristol's tweet in my liberal collection. Does anybody have an issue with that? And another one puts a tweet out, says, do they keep Sean Spicer in a box and just release him for the briefings? I feel bad for him in a way. What a horrible being to have to be. Another one says, is it possible Spicer is simply a Russian bot? Another one says, if you wonder, were there Russian bots on, we'll try that again. If you wonder, were there Russian bots or other non-human interference in the election, there's Sean Spicer standing right in front of you. Oh, goodness sakes. Another one says, has a video of somebody on a trampoline bouncing around. It says video of Sean Spicer's press conference. And another one puts a video of Melissa McCartney playing the part of Spicer on Saturday Night Live. And this gal tweets out, Sean Spicer's literally Melissa McCarthy at this point. From the other side, however, it pretty much says it all. One tweets out, who's tired of the press bullying Sean Spicer every day, not doing their own due diligence, and looking for other sources for answers? Let's see. It says, watch the press conference below and see if you agree. And it's got a video of Sean's White House briefing. So if you want to watch it, you're welcome to do so. Oh, that poor man. Next one is off of BizPac Review. And it says, Michael Flynn Jr. drops grenade into the middle of the mainstream media narrative. Michael Flynn Jr., the son of former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn, no stranger to being controversial figure on social media. Friday morning, he lived up to the reputation and launched a bombshell of a tweet claiming recent news about his father is fake. General Flynn made headlines Thursday when it was widely reported he would testify before Congress in exchange for immunity. General Flynn's lawyer, Robert Kellner, released a statement calling the investigation and allegations against Flynn a witch hunt, and because he did not specifically mention the word immunity, as many people, try that again, and because he did not specifically mention the word immunity, has many people, possibly including Flynn Jr., crying foul. Flynn Jr. put out a tweet, says, is anyone surprised the Mike Flynn fake news came out a day after the Evelyn Farkas bombshell? I'm not. And then he puts in a link. Former Obama official Evelyn Farkas discloses rush to get intelligence on Trump team. Then the article continues and it says Flynn Jr. was referring to the bombshell interview of former Obama administration official Evelyn Farkas, inadvertently admitted President Donald Trump was under surveillance before he took office. I don't know where they get the inadvertently. It sounded pretty advert to me, but okay. Just meanwhile, Keltner also claimed his client had a story to tell, adding even more speculation to the already heated topic. Flynn Jr. also tweeted at that point, the media are awash with unfounded allegations, outrageous claims of treason, ambitious innuendo against General Flynn. The article says Flynn continued to fuel the fire by retweeting about the fake news. He puts out a tweet that says Fox News and CNN are reportedly completely fake news on Mike Flynn. He has not requested immunity. Funny how those unnamed sources work. Meanwhile, the Senate Intelligence Committee has turned down General Flynn's alleged request for immunity, NBC reported, and President Donald Trump tweeted Friday morning that he believed Flynn is right in asking for it. Stay tuned. Next one is off of BizPac Review. It says Rex Tillerson throws down the gauntlet on NATO. Here's what he's demanding. On Friday, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson traveled to Brussels, Belgium for his first NATO meeting since a presidential campaign in which his boss, Donald Trump, often questioned the group's relevance in the wake of the Soviet Union's collapse. Tillerson made it clear that our country's commitment to an alliance that remains the bedrock of transatlantic security is strong, but he also echoed the President Trump's belief that NATO's members need to pay their fair share instead of happily letting the United States foot the bill, which reminds me of this. There's a video here of Alligator Arms. It's what you do. You might want to check that out. The Secretary would like to see NATO members come up with a plan to meet an agreement reached in 2014 that would see each country spend 2% of the size of their nation's economy on defense, and he gave them 2 months to do so. Currently, according to Fox News, only 5 countries are essentially paying their fair share. Those nations are the United States, United Kingdom, Poland, Greece, and Estonia. There are 28 members in NATO, meaning the vast majority are essentially freeloading or possibly suffering from a severe case of alligator arms. Naturally, not every NATO member is thrilled about the prospect. German Foreign Minister Sigmar Gabriel whined 2% would mean military expenses of some 70 billion euros. I don't know any German politician who would claim that is reachable or desirable. Is that so, Mr. Gabriel? Ironically, more and more American politicians, including the current president, don't think it's reachable or desirable to keep footing Germany's defense bill while they give the money away to refugees and welfare dependents. In addition to the Russian issue, dignitaries also discussed strategies for counterterrorism and fighting ISIS, as well as the future of Syria. Watch Fox News's coverage here in the video on this URL if you're interested, where it says Tillerson scolds NATO. Secretary of State tells allies to pay up. The next article I have is also off of BizPac Review. It says pro-immigrant group releases new Snapchat-like app designed to help illegals avoid ICE raids. Beginning on April the 10th, smartphone-wielding illegal immigrants will be able to download an app that will alert them of immigration raids conducted by U.S. authorities. The mobile app, called Notifica by Adrian Reyna, Director of Digital Strategies for United We Dream, a pro-immigrant organization, and was inspired by the Trump administration immigration policies. Illegals who have the app downloaded will be able to immediately alert friends, relatives, bosses, and even attorneys if they are caught up in an ICE immigration raid. Users will be able to select several telephone contacts, each with different predetermined messages, who will be notified immediately if they are detained, according to Fox News Tech. One tweets out here, a new app called Notifica has been designed so illegals can notify other illegals when caught in an ICE raid. We are probably paying for the phone. Next, and the article continues here, it says the messages will be sent all at once, and when opened, a Snapchat-like technology will cause them to be erased immediately. Reina, who is the child of undocumented parents, doesn't expect that the app will stop deportations, but she wants to help families plan for the possibility. Currently, over 8,000 people have already registered for the app and will be able to download Notifica becomes available in April. And United We Dream put out a tweet that says, have you signed up for Notifica? We send you an update when the app is released. The next article, final one in this episode, is off of BizPack Review. It says, White House financial disclosures gin up hype over Steve Bannon's assets. Of all the White House financial disclosure forms released on Friday by Trump administration members, Steve Bannon's assets seem to gin up the most hype by the opposition. President Donald Trump's chief strategist earned between 1.3 and 2.3 million last year, it was revealed. While critics looked to find anything to blow out of proportion or fan into a controversy, many applauded the sound business decisions that led the president's senior advisor to earn his millions. And there's a list of tweets here. One says, a pittance compared to many of our elected representatives who went in broke. Bannon's net worth of about 10.7 million includes the value of his consulting firms and business companies, as well as rental property. And there's a bunch more tweets, one of which says, so many jealous people out there. Who cares what his net worth is? If you do, then you should care what Bill and Hillary and Chelsea's is, do you? Now, and the article goes on. It says Bannon earned $191,000 from Breitbart News, where he served as chairman until becoming Trump's campaign chief last August. Some of his investments income appeared to flow through Bannon Strategic Advisors Incorporated, his own privately held consulting firm valued at $5 million to $25 million, according to the disclosure form. More fodder was provided by the $125,333 he received from Cambridge Analytica, a data firm that worked for Trump campaign and where Bannon served as vice president. The company is funded by Robert Mercer, who was a major contributor to Trump's presidential campaign. One of Cambridge's clients in 2016 was former GOP presidential candidate, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. According to Politico's Shane Goldmacher, an unnamed Cruz advisor told him this was not welcome news. Goldmacher put out a tweet that says, new. Cruz advisor responds telling me it makes me sick to my stomach and may reach new ethical low in politics. That information also raised some eyebrows as well as questions. There's a list of tweets underneath that. Says, remember how sure I was Cruz was going to win. I wonder who'd have won a fair fight. Bannon's financial disclosure revealed that he intends to sell some of his assets, including his stake in Cambridge Analytica, worth anywhere from $1 million to $5 million, and his production company, Glittering Steel, which had paid him $167,500 in fees. Bannon Film Industries, valued at $1 million to $5 million, was also included on the report, as well as bank accounts valued at as much as $2.25 million, rental property, and 3 different bank accounts, holdings from $1.1 million to $2.25 million in cash were also listed. The 63-year-old earned between $50,000 and $100,000 last year in royalties from television shows like Seinfeld, in which he owns a stake. But the financial form disclosed that Bannon will dissolve some of his production companies, including Victory Film Group and Victory Film Project. He will also be going dormant at Breitbart News and Bannon Strategic Advisors and will only receive a passive income. And that's all I have for you in this episode. I got another episode for you this morning, so stay tuned. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that. That way you'll stay informed. See you on the next one.